Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts, me, Richard Pyatt.
I'm Bridget Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko.
Well, thanks for being with us for another WTB, What the Biz. I'm Richard. Dan's here, and Bridget's here as well. Today, we're going to talk about setting expectations with clients, coming up in just a couple of minutes. So how's your weeks been, folks?
I umpired a baseball game.
Did you? Did you get to wear all that gear?
Yeah. The shin guards, the mask. Yeah, I had the chest pad. But let me tell you, I mean, I may be working out recently, but my neck is killing me today. I mean, just from like squatting behind like a 10-year-old, like it's already like it's 6 inches, 7 inches lower than like an actual human. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. And actually, yeah, sorry. Yeah. The little funny phrases that come out of my mouth.
An adult, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. An adult, an actual human. Yeah.
Hats off to you, because I cannot squat for any reasonable length of time. And before you say it's because you're old, yeah, it's probably true.
Wasn't going to go there. I hate squats too. I was actually going to commiserate with you. Squats and leg day is like not my thing.
Yeah.
So
nobody likes leg day. You got to do it though.
There are crazy people that like leg day, but so did that. And yesterday was like 90, 93 and super sunny.
Yeah.
And it didn't break into the 80s until the last inning. So it was, I felt so bad for the kids on the field. They were sweating. They had like cooling towels on their necks. It was, they had like the paint under the eyes to like reduce glare and stuff. And it was just running from the sweat and whatever else, like just running down their face. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Toughening them up for the real world. They're just fine.
So did anybody kick dirt on your shoes or anything? If you made
no, they're all pretty, little league. They're pretty respectful. That's pretty good. Yeah, nice. No, they're okay. They're okay, man. I did that. And the fun thing is, I don't have kids. So I was a total volunteer and no one there knew me. And that's kind of the best, like purely impartial. No one knows you. You're a wild card, you know? Yeah. And so you're there umpiring and they're just like, I don't know if I can challenge. What's okay. So yeah, it was pretty easy. It was pretty good.
Yeah. They didn't know if you were excuse the expression, ball breaker or
right.
Or what? Yeah.
Right. Nah, I'm pretty easygoing.
Well, don't tell them that.
No, right. Oh, darn it. Can we just like beep that whole part out? Like
edit that out. Right. So Bridget, did you coach any sports for young people or anything?
No, I did not. I've monitored some swim lessons this week for my kids.
Okay.
From the inside, the swim coach takes care of making sure they don't drown. So there's that. No, it's been a heavy week of work. I'm leaving tomorrow actually for a week of vacation. So trying to get everything done beforehand so I can take a little bit less with me has been my focus this week. So.
Just going to ask, do you take work with you when you go? So you're taking a little bit less is what you're saying.
A little bit less. How we talked about last week about owning a job or a business. I can't wait for the day that I can just, I'm going to go on vacation and everything is just smooth sailing while I'm gone.
Yeah. You've got that trusted manager that's just like, they're going to make sure this gets done. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Me and Jenny, we've got these vacation definitions, a level 1, level 2, level 3, like a level 1 vacation is kind of not really a vacation. It's like you're traveling, but you're working while traveling. Like you're working a full day and you're just having fun at night. You're just experiencing another place or whatever. A level 2 is like, sorry, no, I'm going to take that back. That's a level 2. A level 1 is where like you're forced to travel. Like I have to go somewhere like a funeral or like a wedding or something. But it's like during the weekend or something like that. Level 2 is like you're working while traveling. Level 3, full disconnect.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's a full disconnect.
Even when I had a job, I don't think I've had a full disconnected vacation. That's great. Yep.
Yeah, you have to define, like, we define it ahead of time. Like, is this a level 1, 2, 3? You know, it's mostly, is this a 2 or a 3? Level 1s, you kind of know. It's like, oh, I'm forced to, go. But a level 3 is like, is this a level 3? Okay, everything is staying home. We are not taking a single thing. It's
that
tough.
Causes
it's tough.
me so much anxiety even thinking about it. I'm like,
I know.
Someday I'm going to get there though, and I'm going to report back on this podcast when I get there.
We'll be waiting.
Well, I'm going to be asking you from now on, is that a level 3 vacation? I'm going to, every time you say, we're heading down it, is that a level 3? And you're going to be like, no, it's a level 2.
Yeah. This one is definitely a level 2.
That's interesting. Because there are nuances in all of this. So I'm going to flip it around. Next week, I have some house guests coming from out of town in the middle of the week. Do I expect to be off while they're here? No, I don't. So they have some things they're going to do part of that time. So I'll be able to be working. But when you're the host and then you have company in the house and you work from home, now what is that? Do you treat that as excuse me, I got to go answer this call, or read my email, or do you say, I'll do that later when they're asleep or something? It's a little bit vacation upside down or some kind of weird thing.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Definitely tough.
Because you can't just like turn off your video and mute for a second and get on your guests, like I do with the kids. Like,
yes.
I'm on a meeting.
Right.
You have to stop talking. You can't do that to house guests, can you? I mean,
this is my house. Be quiet out there.
You
can't do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have my brother-in-law coming to visit next week. But luckily, he still works full time, so he's going to be here just working remote too. So that's going to make it easier for us. I don't know if that's your situation.
So that's also cool in that this I guess you might say pandemic-induced reevaluation of how we can work means that you could go to Aruba and work and just be in a different setting, and that can be pretty cool too, right?
Yeah, we actually have a member of our BNI chapter who's a travel agent, and so she goes on trips to experience other resorts, and she works while away. She'll call into meetings while she's in like the Bahamas or Tahiti or whatever. It's like, what?
It's great for the rest of us on the call watching, the palm trees sway in the background.
Shut the camera off. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that.
Jealousy inducing. Yeah.
Tough job.
But she's doing a good job making us feel like she can actually send us someplace cool. Like, I will say that. Like, I'm definitely gonna,
Maybe she'll plan my first level 3.
There you go. You should do. She's got that new surprise trip. You should just get one of those, and it's a level 3, and she'll send you somewhere without cell signal. And so you just can't do anything.
That would do it, wouldn't it?
That.
Yeah,
there you go.
That would be awful. Not right now. Go. Someday.
Yeah. Yes, my last job, or as Bridget likes to say, my last job, did send us traveling to exotic places too, and that was we were working, but it was pretty tough. Tough in quotes, it was nice to be in Hawaii and Costa Rica and places like that. Usually in January, miserable. Yeah. So you go someplace warm in the middle of the winter, which is great for those of us who know what winter is. And you talked about 93 yesterday. All these people, oh, it's too hot. I was telling them, you just shut it, because in January, I would rather have 90 degrees than snow any old day. And I know there's people out there passionate the other way, but come January, they're complaining. Oh, it's too cold. There's so much snow. I can't wait till summer. And then it's like, oh, it's 93. I can't wait till it's cooler. Yeah.
Those are the people that are never satisfied.
Never satisfied. That's right.
Speaking of, I think that's a great segue here, actually. Never satisfied. Richard, I'm just gonna heavy hand that one. Do you like that segue?
I think it's fabulous.
That was so heavy handed. one of those things from radio, remember? Like,
yes.
Yeah, how are you going to segue?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, sorry, that segue took way too much time there.
Andy's still segueing.
I'm still segueing. You know what this is my brain hasn't caught up to my segue, and so like I've segued, but I don't have the next words yet.
Every time you say segue, I think of people in the cities on their little things, and I'm just watching you like zoom around right now in a circle.
That's what I'm doing in my office.
Yes, that's a good segue.
Yeah, it is a good segue. It's the longest segue in podcast history.
Which is how long? 5 years? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I think we're going on a year now. Yeah, totally. What was the segue? Not, you know what? That segue was so long, I forgot my train
We forgot the segue. It was. Well, I think you were aiming at setting expectations is what you were aiming at.
That's exactly what I was aiming at.
Yeah.
For the people that are never satisfied.
People that are never satisfied.
Yeah.
Well, you can almost set expectations with your house guests too, Richard. I mean, it's
I'm going to go close myself in my office from this time to this time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, what I do know is one of them's like 16, so he'll be asleep all morning. So that won't be an issue. And his father is almost the same way. He could sleep half the day away. I'm the opposite. I'm up earlier. So, I can be working in the morning.
Boom.
I can be working in the morning. So.
So setting expectations.
Yeah. And when we say that, what are we really talking about? Setting expectations with clients, but what does that mean to each of you?
To me, I kind of view it as it's your setup. I mean, it's your initial onboarding of a client and just outlining, to me, it's outlining everything to be expected, and maintaining those, expectations that you set.
So do you have
you start to deviate, it's deviated.
It's deviated. So do you have an onboarding process you follow?
I do. Look at that. Process.
Yeah. There we go. Harkening back. The way you described it, but super holistic. Like it sounds like pretty intense setting of expectations. Or maybe intense is the wrong word. Encompassing. Encompassing. Yeah. Like, is it everything from results to the number of times we're going to talk, how long those conversations are, how you get in contact with us, like how many elements does your how many expectations are you setting, I guess is the question. You said everything.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind and how our onboarding process goes is it outlines all of it. It outlines pretty much hours of work. It outlines how fast we communicate back. It outlines expectations of their specific project or whatever bookkeeping package we have. I mean, my engagements go as far as here's the things that are not included in your engagement because you opted out of XYZ. So if they don't want us to pay their bills or they don't want us to do taxes or they don't want this, like sales tax and whatnot, it's outlined so that when those lines start to get towed or crossed, you can refer right back to that engagement or your expectations you set up front. And then if we're doing big projects or something that's on a timeline, outlining how long it's going to take us, how much we'll communicate, what we'll actually need from them. So I think it's an ongoing expectation too, like communication 100% all the way around.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that reminds me of, or makes me think of like a service level agreement of like here's the level of service you're going to get. It sounds like it goes a little beyond that as well, but no, that's neat. That's cool. Because the one thing that helps with, well, many things, but one particular thing is, it helps from clients eating your time up in ways that you don't want it to. Because everything takes time, whether they ask for something, whether a client asks for something that isn't included or is included, or maybe they just want to complain about something, so having those expectations set is really key. For us, it's very important because we do packages that are I'm all inclusive. I put quotes there, but they're all inclusive for what it is. And so it's not by hour, which is different than many other marketing agencies. There are many agencies that charge by the hour. Yep. So for us to stay profitable as we work with contractors or have employees, even for ourselves as owners to stay profitable, if we spend all the time in the world getting something done because the scope keeps changing or there's new things added on, there's extra one-offs that are asked for along the way, then we end up not being profitable because we're just spending too much time completing these elements. And so if expectations on our end in terms of deliverables and results, et cetera, are not defined and aligned, we end up, basically just not being profitable and paying for the work ourselves. So
that could be, I think, a whole subject in and of itself, in terms of setting expectations after the fact. So you've set this expectation, then something about the scope of the job changes, and then you're having to redefine those expectations. I have a friend who's started a business, and this happened to her. She had a client who wanted a certain level of services. She quoted based on that after they'd had an analysis of what they wanted. And then all of a sudden, they came back with a bunch more things they wanted. So she had to say, whoop, time out. I have to re-quote this for you.
Yeah.
And so I guess the moral of that story is you have to be able to, as the service provider or business owner, be able to try and understand what those needs are, maybe when the client doesn't necessarily know everything they need. Because in this case, she thought she had it sewn up, and then it came back with a bunch more, and she had to change the scope of the work, thus change the pricing and the whole deal. So luckily that worked out, but you can imagine how it might not in some cases.
That's an excellent point too. Like really helping the clients define what they want.
Right.
That includes some deep diving out of the gate for sure. And I'm in the same situation as you, Dan. I don't bill by the hour. I bill by a flat rate monthly for all of my clients. And it's based on services they want and transaction load that they have. And so I think naturally as business owners, we are very service oriented, which makes us naturally giving.
True.
Which makes those lines easy to let clients go over, and we'll do it this one time for them. Well, then that one time turns into 10 times. And when you add up,
sets a different expectation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did that for me. They'll do it again.
Mm-hmm. No, all that's a good point. Like us as the experts, we've also had the experiences of understanding, here are the blind spots that you're not thinking about, or here are the add-ons that come after the fact that sometimes a client or someone is only thinking about like midway into a project, but if you front load as much of that conversation as possible in the sales and discovery, that really helps set expectations for what the service or project is going to be moving forward. So taking more time up front, like at the beginning of the relationship. I mean, Bridget, you said that beginning of the relationship, onboarding, like even sales process of here's what the service is. In marketing, so many people come and are like, I got this budget. Here's the outcomes I want. For instance, someone came to me and said, I think I'm $1 million business. I'm like, okay. How much budget do you have for that? Like, well, I don't know. I have budget. I'm like, okay, if you don't know, we're going to calculate this right now. And we went through the calculation of like how many clients in time span. They're like, I could do this in 6 months. I'm like, oh, you could do this in 6 months. At the time, they were like $150,000 a year business. Okay. So they wanted to 10x their business in 6 months.
Right.
And they had no marketing going on. They had no lead inflow, happening, meaning they had to do it all through advertising, and awareness and whatnot. So we went and we did the calculation, and he would have had to have spent somewhere around $350,000 to $400,000 in 6 months to do it all through advertising in 6 months. And he looked at me and told me I was crazy. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. These are just numbers. I'm not crazy. It's the expectation that you want to hit a number requires this type of investment. Mm-hmm. And so that expectation, sure, we popped a hole in that dream of 6 months, but we said, look, what if we spread this over 3 years, or over 2 years or something like that? Because, as you grow, you'll get referrals. There'll be other sources of leads, and
right.
You can do this a bit more cost effectively and scale a little bit better without having this crunch of hiring and training and everything that's going to just make your service suffer. And so, we work through those elements to create a better plan forward so that there's high quality service and everything. And ended up not wanting to work together. I guess I burst the bubble a bit too much, but but like there's these expectations. Like it's important because some things are just not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think often business owners go on like a dream pattern, like they have these big dreams and big goals. And so in their mind, we can do this, which is great. I mean, it's great to have that fire, but it's the experts in the field that they're outsourcing that to say, let's tone it back just a little bit. Let's bring you back down to real expectation level.
Well, so when we're talking about setting expectations, we very well could be dealing with a client, just as you've articulated, who has dreamt up a way they think it should work. And now they're looking for a partner to say, yep, that's how we do it. And then, okay, I'm going to work with him because it matches their dreams. And Dan, you didn't match his dreams. Well, that's okay. I want to go back to something you both said.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you both said. You both said both of your businesses are set on a flat fee schedule, not a billable hour situation. And you both articulated the inherent challenge in that. However, here's my question. There must be some value in doing it that way because you're both doing it. So what is that?
I think for me, it's easier for the client to understand their value because it's a flat rate, and smaller businesses, at least, I don't mean micro, but small, only have so much cash flow and really want to maintain a consistent level of cost to reach whatever profit level they need. So they're looking for a certain outcome for a certain cost. And so when we flat rate it, we can help them attain that. And it's a tool in that way. So it helps with the sales process. We could definitely go hourly and just hold to the exact same cost level. It's, I think, just more difficult for a client to understand that.
It takes away the fear of running up some big bill they can't project the end of. Does that make sense?
The second piece of that, it's just easier internally tracking all the hours. It's difficult to track every hour and minute spent for every client on every task.
Yep.
I mean, we'll spend like 2 minutes over here on like a graphic, then 3 minutes on a different set of the project somewhere else. And tracking all this time to the tasks to the client can get really tedious, and a lot of stuff will fall through the cracks. And so it is another way for us to protect our revenue and profitability as well. So on some level.
Makes sense. You agree with that, Bridget?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's a mix. One of the main reasons is I am huge on helping my clients establish budgets and understanding what their financial reports say. And since I charge on a flat rate, they know what they're getting as a payment to me every month. It's not a surprise. It's not a flexible. It's not, huge one month and smaller another month. And really, I've had clients that ask me, well, when I do that and I have most of my business in the summer and smaller amount in the winter, I explain to them, well, it levels out throughout the year. That's our goal. I take an average of your transactions for a year, and that's how we get your price point. So even though I'm working more hours sometimes during your summer, I'm working less in the winter, but you are on a set budget and you know what to expect at that budget out of me. And I will say my clients appreciate that. Like they love the flat rate because we do a 3-month review. So if a client gets busier or bigger, that's how we adjust our rates, but they know it's coming. They know it's coming.
Interesting.
So, I mean, really it's the value to them. I can't say, let's understand your reports and let's deep dive into budgets if I'm not helping assist in like a standardized price in their budget. So
Makes sense. I would just add before we go about setting expectations in an industry like I've been in and Dan was in at one time, the industry of advertising. You also have to set an expectation about what the outcomes could be like, and perhaps more importantly, the components of your advertising plan that can help determine what those outcomes are. So when I was in radio, you would run into clients who would say, "Okay, I'm gonna sign up for a radio ad schedule," and then they prepare to have their doors blown off. And then if that doesn't happen, which most of the time it doesn't, I mean, unless you go on a broad broadcasting schedule and say, "I'm giving away $100 a minute between 8 and 5 on these days, come and get it," you're not going to get your doors blown off. Haven't heard a commercial like that ever, by the way. So you really have to adjust the expectations for the other end of that. And true. Folks, yes. And folks in advertising or using advertising, remember, it's the offer, the way the commercial comes together, the information you're imparting, and then your ultimate goals. Some people are just wanting to brand their name, so air it over and over and over again. So when people think of your product or service, they think of you. So there's not really necessarily an offer. So you've got to set those expectations accordingly so that folks aren't expecting this magical change.
Yeah, I want to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add into that. One of the things we've worked really hard to do is understand what those base levels are for outcomes for advertising, because we do a lot of digital advertising management.
Right.
And I mean, that's one of the benefits of digital advertising is that you're actually able to track the process through. I know there's a big push around privacy and it's made some of it a little bit harder. I mean, we anonymize everything. We don't know exactly who's clicking where and who is exactly doing what. But what we do is we track that it is happening and we tie it back to the sources. It's to this ad or to this social post or to these emails that we're sending, so that the return on investment is very clear. And that's been one of my beefs with traditional media, I guess, is the thing.
Yes.
And it is trackable. There are ways to track it. Some of it's more expensive than others, but like you can track, outcome of radio, you can track outcome of TV, billboards, print, etc. And we've done it. And it's always interesting when going to work with radio stations or individuals. And sorry, I'm this is a beef I have with the industry, is that they don't know their own regular outcomes, and what it takes to get them. So sometimes working with a radio station directly isn't the way to go, and working with a partner like an agency or someone who understands how to do that tracking and help them buy that schedule to help you get the outcomes you want is one thing I was going to recommend here, because, businesses should have an expectation of getting a return, and some returns are actually more nuanced than others.
Right.
The most important one, dollar in a pocket. Okay. Yeah. Most important one. But like you were saying, Richard, you may run an ad for a certain period of time and expect the doors to get blown off, but they don't all come when that ad was running. What if they come over the next 3 months?
It's a residual effect. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have the financials in place, then how would you know, like Bridget, having your bookkeeping in place, if you don't have those in place and understand your regular trend lines month to month, year over year, you would never know that you had a 10% uptick over maybe 3 to 6 months. You just might not feel it because it was just so small, or a 5% uptick, 10% you might feel, but 5% maybe not, but that 5% would then be attributed back to those ads you were running. Right. So, it just may not be that straight line effect of, ad ran 20 people through my door, or 100 people through my door, 1,000 people. Right. It may be spread out and you did the right things. You just may not know how to track it. And so setting those expectations are super clear to set too, of when to expect it, how to measure it, and prove that there is an outcome of some kind, and there are others than dollar in a pocket, like how many times is my brand being searched, post a certain campaign, awareness, top of mind, et cetera, et cetera. There are others, but yeah. that expectation piece of what's possible is something we've really worked hard to accomplish. And so we give forecasts of here's what your budget could attain at different levels and based on different work that you're willing to pay for to make that happen. So really important. And so it's all trackable. Just track it. That's our thing. Just track it.
Track it.
So and you were going to say something, Bridget, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, as a new business owner, when I was a new business owner, this was hard. Mm-hmm. Getting to the point of setting expectations and what it even meant is hard. And so I think in our little section note here on this podcast, we'll drop a document that just kind of walks through some of the tips for managing client expectations to get you started. Because it's a ever changing document or an ever changing process for all of us, because we learn as we go. We learn through clients that we have, but it's important. It's important to set those expectations, and it's important to get those expectations set for you when you're paying for a service. As a business owner, as Dan was saying, with his marketing firm, they give you what you can expect. They give you the trackable, the ways to track it. And right. I think that's valuable for business owners to expect themselves. Mm-hmm. So when you're going to work with somebody or contract with somebody, you understand your expectations as well.
Right. So folks, how have you set expectations? What are your success stories or challenges that you've had setting those expectations with clients? Scroll down into the show notes, get in touch with us. We'd like to hear how you've done that as well. And maybe we'll even share some of those in a future episode. All right. Thanks for being with us for another edition of What the Biz.